Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because it's about an update to Star Fox. That is because Miyu and Fay in Star Fox, a ROM hack, just got a big update with a bunch of new voices. But the reason I'm talking about this isn't just because this ROM hack is incredible and just got updated to be even better. I'm talking about it because it is leading into the gigantic ROM hack known as Star Fox CD. That is something that isn't out yet, but trust me, the minute it is available to demo, talk about in video form, or actually review, I will be doing it. Because there's been so many fun innovations and improvements on the Star Fox formula recently, with the Shindu Edition from Kandawantu giving us Rumble, with the actual SNES Rumble code from Limited Run Games, and Star Fox CD absolutely looks like it's going to be the best way to play Star Fox with a ton of new features and enhancements. But in the meantime, the developers are making these ROM hacks to basically get ready for that release of Star Fox CD. If you haven't heard of Star Fox CD before, leave me a comment down below because I would be curious to know how many people know this is coming and how many people are learning about it from the first time here. And I will leave a link to the developer of its website as well as YouTube down in the description below so you can kind of follow along with the dev blogs because they're absolutely fascinating. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. But if you're wondering what Miyu and Fay in Star Fox is, obviously, in the title, Miyu and Fay have been added in as characters to Star Fox. And now they have a lot more voice samples because basically the developers were able to figure out how to get those voice samples working and working within the actual audio RAM of the Super Nintendo, because the thing is not exactly loaded with RAM. If you don't know the specs, it is quite limited in certain spots. And honestly, playing Star Fox back in the day and even today, I am constantly reminded of just how impressive this was when it first came out, and knowing that people are going back in to make an even better experience with MSU1 enhancements and a ton of new features really goes to show just how much the community truly loves something like Star Fox in the first place. Now, I will leave a link in the description below to the patch on this one, but you'll see here it was updated at least at the time of the recording yesterday. I'm never quite sure when I'm going to put these videos out, so it might be a few days, it might be a week or so, but definitely check it out. It's absolutely worth playing, even if it is just obviously the Star Fox you know, love, and remember. But you'll see here they say this is phase 1 of the development of the upcoming major Star Fox hack, Star Fox CD. Consider a preview of what is to come. And here on the updates as of yesterday, you'll see that they actually were able to optimize the sound driver to make all of this work, because Star Fox CD is going to be an absolutely massive ROM hack, and I can't wait to check it out, because honestly, Star Fox still has a vibe and still exists in a universe that is so unique. And even though Star Fox 64 is probably the best game in the franchise in my opinion, there's something about the Super Nintendo original aesthetic that just always feels a little bit like magic and like something that shouldn't have been actually working on real SNES hardware. And don't forget, with Limited Run Games, the Super FX3 chip code as well, there's going to be a lot of fun things you can do with Super Nintendo development, especially on the Star Fox side of things in the future. And I just love that fans and developers are actually doing these things. We have so many incredible new games, so many incredible ROM hacks on the Super Nintendo side of things, whether there's some of the NES to SNES conversions from Infidelity and Rumble Mints that bring in Super Nintendo support to NES games with MSU1 enhancements, or whether it's the massive ROM hacks or completely reimagining of games, stuff like Pasta La Vista that just recently came out. Suddenly in 2026 and a little bit more in 2025, Super Nintendo is seeing a new golden era, and there really is a resurgence in interest in all the development on the Super Nintendo side of things. And trust me, this is definitely not easy because there isn't a huge robust tool set for developing these ROM hacks or new Super Nintendo games. There's definitely tools out there, but it's not like some of the Sega hardware where there's brand new software development kits written by fan developers so that everyone can use them. So something like Miyu and Fay and Star Fox is just a little taste or a boost of what's going to be coming in the future for Star Fox CD. And again, Sunlit absolutely killing it on this project, and I can't wait to see what they're going to bring in next. Let's do a soundtrack sample just because the music in Star Fox is so incredible. Come back, I got a lot more detail for you. Honestly, the music in Star Fox has always been incredible, and I can't wait to hear what is in Star Fox CD. Now, moving over to Sunlit's own captures here, I did leave a link in the description below to their YouTube page. Go over there, hit like and subscribe, and leave a comment saying VGE sent me, because I'm always trying to advocate for other channels getting a lot more press, because it really is one of those things that I truly believe in. A rising tide floats all boats, and I want everyone to be successful when they're talking about this stuff. And trust me, if you like deep dives into the technical aspect of how these things get made, Sunlit has a lot of different videos showing exactly how the actual ROM hacks are produced and just how much work goes into them, because it is absolutely impressive just how much work actually gets dedicated to stuff like this. And again, it's not like we've gotten any new Star Fox games recently. The Wii U game had a lot of potential, but unfortunately on the control side of things, definitely felt a little bit flat, and it feels like Nintendo's completely forgotten about the fact that the Star Fox franchise does in fact exist. So it really is left to fans out there to be able to make these sort of ROM hacks, and honestly, even calling something like Star Fox CD a ROM hack feels a little bit like a misnomer, because this thing is basically feeling like an entirely new Star Fox game, almost like Star Fox 3, a game that never existed, by the amount of work that's gone into the amount of graphical changes, enhancements, and everything else you're gonna see. And that, again, as a fan of both Super Nintendo and Star Fox, absolutely is something that I can't wait to play in the future. And that really is the thing I keep saying on the channel. This is why retro gaming is making a comeback, and this absolutely is why retro gaming is making a comeback. People are realizing that this old hardware is so fun to play, and they want new games for it. And sure, we get new Super Nintendo games by new developers, but we can get a ton of new experiences in these classic franchises as well, because some of the stuff fans are doing, definitely in my opinion, is even better than what Nintendo does, especially with their legacy kind of games at this point in time. People would love Nintendo to bring a lot of these franchises back and maybe even make some new retro stuff, but that's just not what they're going to do. So fans step in and basically keep the love letter of what Super Nintendo was alive, and that's definitely something I always love to talk about and advocate for on the channel. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, if you could get a brand new game on Super Nintendo in a franchise that was synonymous with the hardware, which one would it be? For me, I would love to see another 16-bit Castlevania game made by Konami, published to the Super Nintendo. And I totally get I'm imagining things, and that's definitely not going to happen, but honestly, because Star Fox CD really feels like a lost Star Fox game that we just never got, it is kind of a fun question to ask. And with all the different overclocking options we have for the chips as well as the Super Effects chips, you're just going to get a smoother running Star Fox as well, and that's definitely something that everyone's going to benefit for, especially at Miyu and Fay and Star Fox here, because the original Star Fox, we didn't really mind that it ran at a slideshow back in the Super Nintendo era because it was 3D at home, and damn it, we were impressed. But in 2026, people want a hell of a lot more frames when it comes to these games, and that's exactly what Miyu and Fay and Star Fox is delivering, and what Star Fox CD is going to deliver as well. And don't forget, if you have a compatible controller on Mr. FPGA, Super Nintendo, or emulation, you're going to be able to get rumble out of these things as well, and that is just basically an extra layer of fun. Let's do one more soundtrack sample, because again, amazing music, and I can't wait to see what they do in Star Fox CD. I'll be right back with just a little bit more detail. And don't forget, like I said earlier, I left a link to Sunlit's YouTube page down below where you can see them actually go over some of the changes and modifications to make this all work. Yes, it is definitely very technically inclined, but if you're the type of person that really likes that, you can see here they're kind of playing around with different memory address spacing. Definitely check that out, because it is a deep dive into how these things get made, because trust me, it is not an easy process in any way, shape, or form. So in the meantime, while we all wait for Star Fox CD to finish development and come out, Miyu and Fay in Star Fox, absolutely a 10 out of 10. And honestly, I almost did a video when this first came out, but I basically skipped it, and now that it's updated with all of the different voice samples and improvements, this just really feels like the best version of the original Star Fox you can play until something like Star Fox CD comes out. You leave me a comment down below and you tell me, did you even know Star Fox CD was in development or not, and what do you think about this current ROM hack? But trust me, get excited for this one. Everything I've seen, everything I've experienced so far says it's going to be a straight up amazing time. And as a Star Fox fan, we don't really get many games anymore. This is definitely a very welcome thing. Sure to that. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. But go play Star Fox, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.